Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Wellness. We are here to be well, get well, and stay well. I'm Eileen Whipple. I'm your host, and I am so grateful to have you jump on as we are in June, which is Father's Day month. So we're just focusing in on men, and this is our third installment of 5 topics that our friends are talking about men's health. And so make sure you catch the other 2 videos that have already been done by Seth Mulder and by Dr. Brett Brimhall. And Jacob's doing this one. Kyle will be next week, and Marco Rodriguez will be week 5. So it's good. It's just a powerful month to focus in on these great men and these great leaders and our partners in this lifetime. And so I met Jacob actually through this company that we are with LifeVantage, as a business partner. And I have come to know him through Zoom calls, basically, because that's what we've been on for the last year. And I've just been impressed with who Jacob is. I love, he's a daughter of 5 lovely daughters. And did I say that right? He's a father of 5 lovely daughters. But we're grateful, and we do this every single Wednesday. And if there are things mentioned on this that you want more information for, get back to the person who invited you to watch this video to get your questions answered. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jacob to share with us the ripple effect of choosing good health.
Thank you so much, Eileen, for that introduction. Is my sound okay?
It is.
Okay, great. So Jacob Blackburn here. I'm 41 years old, live in Idaho Falls. I've been here since 2014, married almost 20 years. Next year will be 20 years for me and my wife. We have 5 daughters, 17 to 6. Now, I hope in what I'm sharing for the 12 to 16 minutes that I have all of you here with me to inspire you, hopefully educate you, and just kind of share my journey, right? And what I've learned along the way that could hopefully be helpful to you or, a husband, a father, a son, a brother, someone that you care about, that this information, that you glean something from it, right? So my journey started a while ago, 2015, as far as looking at better health. I was dealing with some challenges that were kind of slowing me down a little bit. I try and be pretty active as far as basketball. I like to play pickleball, soccer, when I get the chance. But I'll even go back a little bit before that, right? So my adoptive father died of Lou Gehrig's disease in 2015 at the age of 58, right? And I wasn't super close to him as a teenager, but as I became an adult, we were fairly close. He coached me in basketball and everything like that. And I just remember him kind of getting worn down a little bit in his 40s and 50s. He would referee basketball games, and he would complain about his Achilles hurting, right? And he seemed tired and worn down. And he also played football in high school. And there is some studies out there saying that concussions from soccer or football, if you have a gene, from what I've seen, that it can be triggered and slowly manifests itself when you've had concussions. If you have that gene, it can come ahead later. And so there is more research on that. And so that's something that's been fascinating to me. I loved my father, I still do, and he's not around, right, at 58. So it's always been on my mind, what can I do to stay around and be a father and a grandfather as long as possible? I found out last year during COVID, actually who my biological father, so I was just speaking of my adoptive father, and I found out that he died of stomach and lung cancer at the age of 50. Now, granted, he did drink, smoke, and he was a welder, so he had other factors going against him, right? But I also have a grandfather that died when my mom was 7 years old of heart disease. So all these things have kind of led to my journey of I don't want to suffer some of the fates that these important men could have been in my life longer, right? If they had maybe some of the information that you're about to hear, right, about men's wellness and being preventative and nutrigenomics and all those things. So to kind of talk about my journey or my health, I was dealing with a foot pain in my right foot from playing soccer, basketball. I was wearing soccer cleats. And my foot doctor could not help me figure out, like, how to fix this. He did x-rays, steroid shots, none of those things seemed to work. And meanwhile, my back was wearing down from working at a grocery store and, unloading pallets, and playing basketball since I was 5. And all that was contributing to some knee pain. I remember going down the stairs when I was in the townhouse when we first moved to Idaho Falls, and I would play basketball, and that same night it would just hurt every step to go down the stairs. And I'm like, I'm only in my mid 30s. Like, what's it going to look like when I'm in my 40s and 50s, right? So all these things, you have these questions like, is there a better way, right? I'm here to tell you that the information that I've seen along this journey, that there are better ways out there, right? Of being healthy now and being more preventative in the long term, because that's what we all want. We want those men in our life to be around as long as possible, to make those memories, right? To be that impact. So I wanted to read a couple quotes of some research that I have found that I think applies to, kind of what we're talking about. From Science Direct, it says, Nutrigenetics is the science that identifies and characterizes genes, variants associated with different responses to nutrients, relating to variable diseases. And there is much evidence to support that genetic factors play a key role in the development of cancer. And these genetic factors, such as DNA instability and gene alterations, are affected by nutrition, right? So I think what that tells us is that there is a bridge that comes together between our genes and what we're susceptible to. My wife comes from a family of colon cancer, a long line from her grandma to her mom. That's something that she has to be concerned about, right? So there are some things we can be genetically susceptible to, and our nutrition and diet does kind of tie into that. So I did want to bring that up. There's another quote that I heard. I actually heard this when I was listening to sports radio or some radio station in 2015. Some of you may be familiar with Mark Cuban. He's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, right? And he was talking about the future of healthcare. And I just found this super fascinating. At the time, I was like, what is he talking about? And as I've learned about nutrigenomics and gene activation, this is all kind of tying together from what he said. So he quotes in this interview in 2015, he says, I've got a 5-year-old son. By the time he's 25, the idea of going to a drugstore and buying over-the-counter medication will seem barbaric. Cuban said, he's going to say, Dad, what do you mean you bought this medicine? And on this over-the-counter medicine, there was a warning that said you might be one of the unlucky schmucks that dies from this, and you actually bought and paid for it. So he says, personalized medicine is the wave of the future. According to the billionaire and owner of the Dallas Mavericks, new data analytics will aid physicians to better understand their patients' needs and potentially begin to diagnose diseases in earlier stages than traditional methods. So I think that's what we're finding is in the science and the medical community, they're finding that not all, I guess, medicine, not all treatments, and we can say in the wellness world, not all diets and nutrition affect everyone the exact same way. Personalized medicine is the way to go, right? Wellness, our DNAs are made up differently. And we have to keep that in mind, right? Because we want to be around as long as possible. But we do know there's tons of research out there on oxidative stress, helping us with all the environmental factors that happen to us, right, daily. And I have seen this with my wife, with myself, and my daughters. I have 2 older daughters that we've helped them take control on their health. And I'm going to say something that it's kind of comical, but it's as I've prepared this and I've been thinking about this the last couple of weeks. I've got one daughter, my middle daughter, who is 12 and going through those changes that young women can go through, right? And I've already gone through it with 2 daughters. And I'll share a personal experience that I'm like, we need to find a way to level things out like we've done with the older 2. So I came home working from home one time for lunch, and this daughter likes to eat a lot of carbs and sugary things. So she found some leftover waffles and had Nutella and jam on it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can let that slide or whatever. And then after she had that, she found some snickerdoodle cookies. And I'm like, look, I've got to draw the line somewhere here. I'm not going to let you have waffles with Nutella for lunch and then have a snickerdoodle cookie. And so I took the cookie away from her and I held it up here and I said, Kinsey, you're not going to have this cookie when you just had Nutella waffles for lunch. You need to have a fruit or a vegetable, right? I'm trying to be a good parent, teaching good health. And she said, give me that cookie now. And I panicked. I'll be honest. I didn't know what to do. So I put the cookie in my mouth and I ate it, right? It was either that or throw it in the trash. And she just completely came unglued, right? Just like, Dad, how could you do that? Eat that cookie right in front of me. That was my cookie. So she storms off to her bedroom, grabs her book, comes back out, and she yells at me and says, I had a full glass of milk and now I have no cookie to go with that milk. And so she drinks most of the milk and she takes the cup and she throws it right on my chest. And then she runs off and I'm like, look, everyone needs to calm down. And you know, I realize we're going through these hormonal changes. And I say to the 9-year-old daughter, Ember, I said, Ember, what just happened here? And she said, Dad, well, you should know that Kinsey is on her special week. And I'm like, why didn't anyone warn me about this? So it's a comical story, but what I'm saying is we have things going on in our bodies that we need a little help, right? Leveling things out. And I've noticed with my older 2 daughters that this has been a big deal for them as well. The one thing that I want to talk about, just loved ones and fathers not being in our lives and you seeing it around yourself. So I've got a friend, his name's Jason, and he was in Mexico in March during spring break with his wife and 3 daughters. Now, mind you, this friend of mine, Jason, we worked together back in 2015. He was a coach there. And I got to know him. He's a great guy. And I tried to talk to him about gene activation and nutrigenomics. And hey, we need to, you know, this is super impactful. And he didn't have to take the time to be able to do it. Well, when he was on vacation in March, he felt dizzy and tired and laid down and had a pulmonary embolism. What I'm telling you, folks, those that are listening here, is he's not going to be able to see those 3 daughters get married or see his grandchildren. He's gone. And for us, right, or your father or a husband, a son, a brother, if you have information that can help them in some big way, it is our moral responsibility to share it with them. They still have their agency and their choice, but to make those memories and to have those people in our lives, this is too important to keep it to ourselves, right? And so I don't want to end on that note, but as far as men's health, start somewhere, right? Whether it be exercising once a week, you haven't exercised for a couple of years, right? Look for other ways to be healthy. If you're taking a vitamin or a supplement, do some research on it. How much is it helping? Do you notice before and after benefits of not taking it? Gene activation, if you look up nutrigenomics, just look it up on Google or pubmed.gov, right, which is where all the research is. You're going to see how impactful these things are. And I did a little research just to help those that are listening that, hey, Jake, what are you talking about gene activation? If you need to start somewhere, NRF2 activators, you can actually Google those. And a couple that I found, if you eat grapes, cranberries, blueberries, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all those things are activators, right, of the NRF2 gene. And whoever's invited you to this, get with them to get some more information on nutrigenomics and just do your research. And ultimately, what I have found for myself is if I do my research and I experience it for myself, which I did, right? I was dealing with a foot issue, neck and back issues, some other issues that were keeping me from being active. And it was having a ripple effect in my relationships with my daughters and my wife. I would become irritable, right? All those things are super important. We can't take our health for granted. And so now I'm able to play basketball, go hiking, do pickleball, and not have things slow me down, right? We don't have to just take the status quo as it is. Our family depends on us to be around as long as possible, right? To make memories. You know, this weekend's Father's Day weekend. and we're going to go to the zoo on Saturday and do the all-you-can-eat ice cream, right? I want to do those kind of memories. Now, I'm not saying all-you-can-eat ice cream is a healthy thing, right? But it's okay to do every once in a while. But I hope that if you're listening to this and on this call, you understand that there are people that depend on you to be around as long as possible. And losing both the fathers that I did in their 50s definitely weighs on me, that I want to do everything I can to have the cards stacked in my favor to make those memories, to make that impact with my family. So thanks for letting me share, Eileen, and everyone that's taken the time to hear me out and be on this call. It's been a pleasure to be with everyone, to take a little time out of your night.
Oh, thank you so much. I love all that. And I love how you pulled it together with the ripple effect, because I actually remember having a conversation with you and you sharing that your health was affecting your relationships with your wife and your daughters. And so I appreciate you sharing that. So everyone, we appreciate you joining us for Wednesday Wellness. We will be turning off the recording and go to a question and answer period. But we do want to invite you back next week and every week here on Wednesday Wellness. 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we are grateful you came tonight, and be well, get well, and stay well. Thanks for watching. And remember, one change can have an enormous effect. Remember to subscribe, hit the bell and the like, and we'll see you next time on Love to Live.